Hello, welcome to Kelly's Sirocco Life and the home of the Broom and Moon Coven. So today I have a new setup and I have a new computer, a new camera. Well, not a new camera, but a new computer and a new place for my camera. And so I'm hoping that everything works well and everything goes okay in this live. So this is kind of a test run to make sure everything is working well. And I'm hoping that, I'm upgrading. And so I'm doing a tech upgrade. And so I think that it will be good overall, hopefully. And if anything needs to be worked out, then I'll be able to do that. But today is another one of the videos in our Friday lives, live reading, getting ready for the weekend and tuning into something that's going on. And these are readings that I have done for myself in the past and really enjoyed them, really enjoyed doing the readings, doing the um bringing the readings into a community and to you all and giving you all things to think about and letting the cards give you a message and give us a message as a community, because it is, we're in tough times. It's really hard in a lot of places, but there still is joy and there's still happiness and there's still things to look forward to. And then it's just, I have a list of all of these different readings that I wrote in the last couple of years that I've been sharing. And at the beginning of the year, I just put them all on the list, and they have been so great. Everyone has come up at a time that is, I think, that has been needed, that has for a message and for us as a community. So today, this is leading yourself out of a dungeon. And this one kind of reminded me of the devil card, where in the devil card in tarot, where there is this which we actually got in this reading today, which I thought was very funny. But it reminded me of the devil card here, where we have dungeons. Now, sometimes there are definitely dungeons that we are in that are of somebody else's making. They're dungeons that other people have created, just, maybe toxic work environments or toxic friendships or places where we unfortunately have to interact for some reason or another. And it's just, and it's hard. But there are some times that we put ourselves in our own dungeons that are that we can get out of, just like the devil card. A lot of times in the devil card, the people in there are look to be shackled or look to be chained to something, but they're really not. They're really not, and it's something that they can easily get out of. And it is that, realizing when it is something that is not of our own making, and how we can react to that. But this is more of that when we're putting ourselves in a bad situation. It's like, really wanting to work with a health problem, and it's like, the things that you're supposed to do and the things that you're not supposed to do. And it's really hard to make those changes, because the things that you're supposed to do are hard to do, and they are, it's hard to face those things. So this is when you find yourself in that place where you know what you really need to do, and you just need that support. You need that guidance. You need something to say, I understand that this is really hard. We can do it. We can climb the stairs. We can get out of the dungeon. We can, we can get, break free of whatever's holding us back and move into the future. So this one, and again, I'll have the the questions posted, and that we posted in the post section on YouTube. And then I'll also post them on Facebook and probably, hopefully, Instagram as well. So you can find them in lots of different places. And you can use this, do your own reading. We're going to do a community reading today, but you can do your own reading. And then you can also use these as journal prompts, or use other kinds of divination that you want to use. So it's all good, and you can use it in any way that you want. All right, so we're going to start with question number 1. So, what is the dungeon we are in? And today I'm using the deck, the Tarot of Echoes, and I'll have that information for you below as well. So, here we have the dungeon that we are in is the Star. And this, I think, is just, it's great. I mean, we're in a dungeon, and we're looking up, we're looking out, we're seeing the light. We feel like that we're in the darkness, and the Star is here to guide us. So we're in this dungeon that is maybe has to do with shadow work. Maybe has to do with something that where we really need to find the light, and we just haven't found it yet. And so the dungeon we're in is something that seems very far off, that seems very that finding the light, it seems very distant and very far off. But that you can work with the stars and work with the universe and bring yourself to that light. So number 2 is, what perspective needs to change? I mean, this is why I love tarot. What perspective needs to change for you to leave this dungeon? And we have the Hanged Man, which is all about changing perspectives, changing the way that we see things, taking a pause, looking at things from a different point of view. And here you see this person in, oh, there we go. This person here in this card looking at things from a different way, looking at things from instead of the top down, maybe the bottom up, and looking at a situation and thinking that, I'm thinking that there's only one way to do this, but there's probably more than one way to do it. There's almost always more than one way to do something. And so looking at that, and what perspective needs to change. And it's just anything, any way that we're looking at something, look at it from a different way. Look at it from the point of view, maybe like if it's something that you're trying to figure out, how would you tell if it were somebody coming to you with this problem and saying, I have this dream, I have this idea that I want to put into practice, or this project that I want to do, but it just seems like it's so far away and I can't get to it. And there's just so many steps, and I just feel like, I'm just in the shadow, in the dark. And you kind of beat yourself up for it and say, well, you should be able to figure this out, and you should be able to do this. But if you look at it from a different perspective and say, if someone came to me and said this was their problem, how would I give them advice? How would I give them, really practical, good advice that they could go forward with? And so that's a good way to look at something from a different perspective. Really look at it from a different way, a different standpoint, from as if you were talking to yourself, or you were telling somebody else, or maybe you need to write about it instead of just thinking about it, or maybe you need to say it out loud. And sometimes that just gets the energy going and can get that magic into the universe, and get your that perspective out there so that you can see things differently. So question number 3, how can we find balance between the light of day and the dark of the dungeon? And we're going, as we're going along in the dungeon, there is this, we are trying to find the light, but there's also going to be shadow, and we're never going to walk fully in the light, because there's always going to be shadow work to do. There's always going to be a night that's going to follow a day. So how do we do that? How do we embrace that duality of, being in a dungeon and learning the lessons maybe we need to learn there, and then moving on? And so here we have the tower. Let's see if I can get it close enough for you to see it. There. So here we have the tower. And so here, how do we find that balance? And this is knowing that things are going to have to change, knowing that some things are going to have to be different. Some things are going to have to break away. Just like in the tower card, it's telling us that things can't stay the same, that something has to be different. And if it's something that you need to face, that's very shadowy, how are you going to work with that? How are you going to integrate that? And that might be, doing some good shadow work, working with your shadow, going on a journey, having someone help you, talk to another person that understands, working in the shadow and working with these kinds of energies. And that sometimes is very helpful, and it breaks up whatever it is that needs to be broken up. And so you're able to, and this dungeon might be something just like the tower. The tower is usually built on something that's very familiar. It's built in a place, it's built on a belief, on something that you think about yourself, or something that you believe in, or a story that you've grown up with. And so it's built on that, and it might be good for a while, but when that story starts to fall apart, or when that belief that you have doesn't work for you anymore for whatever reason, then something's going to give, and the tower is going to collapse. But it's okay, because it's going to help us move out of that dungeon. It's going to help us move up the stairs. It's going to help us move out of the darkness into the light, so that we can integrate both of those things together. And so then, question number 4: how can you honor yourself on the journey out of this dungeon? And here we have the Queen of Swords. And we have all major arcana cards. So, this is a big deal. And this is, except for this one. This one's the only that is not a major arcana card in this reading. And I'll also put a picture of the cards so that you can see the cards as well. But here we have the Queen of Swords, and she is very much about duality, because you see her there in and the that looks like water below and the sun above, and you also see the birds and the clouds, and it's that duality of being open in your heart, and having the the tact, and having the practical knowledge, and bringing that logical part of yourself, bringing those things together, and and honoring what you need, honoring your feelings, honoring your emotions. And a lot of times when we are working in the shadow, or we're doing something that's very difficult, we either beat ourselves up so that we feel worse about ourselves, or we make it out that, oh, it's not that big a deal, it's okay, I don't need any help, I'll get over it, I can do it, I can handle it. When it's somewhere in the middle, that we need to honor ourselves, and we need to say what we need, and to say how we can, best honor ourselves. And we need to say it, but we need to say it from a place that honors our heart, and honors our feelings, and honors our emotions. All right, then question number 5: how will you know you're headed in the right direction? Because this, again, is going to be a process. It's going to be something like the tower. It's a process, and we have the tower card underneath it. And so it is a process. It's something that's going to take some steps. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some work to get to that, that star that we see in the distance. And so we here have just like this, just being in the dungeon is like the devil, is having that place of being, tempted to do what is not good for you, and having that place of knowing that there are other choices besides the ones that you just assume, a choice A or a B. And there are lots of different choices that you can look for and look about and figure out what that choice is. So as you're starting, as you know that you're going in the right direction, you're going to feel that freedom. You're going to feel that freedom of, oh, I see this is, I see that this moving in this direction is starting to feel free, is starting to feel, I can talk about it. I feel like that I can understand what's going on, that I can maybe put it into words where I couldn't before, or I see that I'm not so overwhelmed. And that is, it to me is one of the keys about the devil, is that feeling of overwhelm, of looking at something, trying to figure out something, and just feeling overwhelmed by it and thinking, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know how to begin. But once you kind of break it down, and once that tower shakes things up, we have this Queen of Swords that we're honoring ourselves with our thoughts and our feelings, and we have this new perspective, then all of these things are going to start to break us out of this dungeon, out of this place of shadow, out of this place of not knowing how to go forward. And so those are the questions for the leading yourself out of the dungeon. And so if there's something that you personally are working on, that you really want some support on, then this is a great reading to do that, and a great reading to do a reading. You can do a reading for yourself. You can, listen to this again, look at the cards, look at the questions, and get some insight on your specific situation and what's happening with you. And two, if you're in this place where you feel isolated, that you feel like you're in a dungeon, and you are isolated and lonely, and you feel like that there's not other people around that understand you. That is why, this is exactly why that I created the Broom and Moon Coven. So you can come there, you can join in the community, you have other people to talk to, other witches to interact with, other people who understand the things that you're going through, that understand the challenges that you're facing, understand, and we can all, be part of that, supporting each other and being here for each other, and, making magic for ourselves, and making magic in this world that really needs some magic, I think. And the more that we can integrate those things together, then we can make this world a better place, and we can feel like that we're not in a dungeon anymore, and we're not in the shadow, and that we can, connect with the stars that are above us, and our hopes and our dreams and our wishes that are in the coven. And that's my wish and my star. So I'll leave the information about the coven, about joining. We're getting ready. We've got lots of free events still through the end, last few days of March. And then we will be starting the Coven curriculum, the paid membership, where we'll be diving into all things magical, all things crystals and herbs and astrology astrology and working with the moon, so that you can bring your own practice together in the coven, and we all make this magic together in the coven. So we will have, a book club and new moon intention settings and full moon reflections and witchcrafting, where we're actually making things and making our magical items. And so it's going to be great, and it's a great community already, and I'm very happy, to be there and to be the host and the founder, and come on in. I would love it. And I'll have some, special things for April and May, since it's the first 2 months. So make sure that you join so you can find out about the specials and things going on, and for joining in this very beginning stages. So I hope that you have a great rest of your day, and look at these cards and see what message you get, and so that you can find your star, and even when you are feeling shadowy or in a dungeon. And so thank you again for being here and or watching the replay, and I will see you again soon. Bye.